Look at this, guys. Inside this deceivingly heavy box is my first eGPU, and this is me finally joining the world of eGPUs, something which I nearly did about a year or so ago. So the model which I've got in that box is the Razer Core X Chroma, and on the official website it says that it retails at £379.99. You should be able to pick it up a little bit cheaper than that, but I paid £250 on eBay. I've picked it up from a seller who said it was only 6 weeks old. They said it's in great condition, so I'll do an unboxing in a few days and we'll check that out and see if that's actually the case, but I'm hoping that I've got a bargain here. So if I scroll down, you can see more about it. I mean, just visually, you can see here that it's got the chroma down the bottom, the RGB, and it shows you the graphics card that you're using at the side there. It is a big thing. You know, this isn't a small little case. This is a big, heavy chassis, no doubt about it. So looking at the key specifications here, you can see it being compared to the Razer Core X, and that's a little bit cheaper to pick up that one. This one has an internal ATX power supply that can deliver 700 watts to the graphics card and all accessories. It can actually deliver 100 watts to laptops, etc. via power delivery. And my Dell laptop here only takes about 45 watts, but with 100 watts, you could power up to, we'll say, a MacBook Pro or something like that. So it's quite versatile in that regard. And with regards to versatility, you can see here that the max size GPU is up to 3 slots. And that's good. Most of the NVIDIA and AMD cards on the market today, they're all about 2.5, 2.7 or 3 slots wide. So they're all quite chunky because of the fans. And I will still have to work around the limitations of this chassis as far as length. Like my 3090 here, I think is just a little bit too long for it. But this will give me a lot of different options as far as what GPUs I use with it. And that was something I did look into a lot. I looked at a lot of different eGPU chassis on their own, but I looked at a lot of ones which came pre-packaged with a graphics card. Normally it was like a Radeon 580 or it was a 2060 or something, but we're seeing newer graphics cards come out with eGPU versions as well. But what normally happens is that the manufacturer will change the design of the card, and they'll change the fan setup and they'll change some other things so that they can cram it into a smaller package, which is great because it means that your eGPU is smaller. You've got a smaller case, but that also means that if you want to upgrade your graphics card, you're extremely limited with what you can do. So I wanted to go with the Razer Core X Chroma because it can accommodate a large percentage of cards on the market. Not every single one, but a larger percentage than many other eGPUs. So the other key thing here is you can see that the Razer Core X doesn't have any kind of connections at the back. It's just, an external graphics card chassis. But the Razer Core X Chroma has got 4 USB and it's got gigabit Ethernet as well. And that makes it a much more versatile solution in my opinion, because it means that you can hook up your laptop and that's you've got a hub. You can connect your monitor, your mouse, your keyboard, and you're good to go. Now, a few years ago with eGPUs, most of them only had one Thunderbolt controller, which meant that when you did connect USB devices, there was a significant drop in performance. But that's something that has been improved because modern eGPUs tend to have 2 Thunderbolt controllers now to tackle that problem. So I'm really looking forward to it. But like I said, about a year or so ago, I did a couple of videos about eGPUs because I was close to buying one. I looked into the issue a lot. I made a few bids, I believe, at the time as well for a few eGPUs, which I lost on eBay. But I was very serious about buying one and I was looking forward to testing it and all that. But at the time, I decided not to. And the reason is, well, the main reason is cost. eGPUs are a few £100s or a few $100s, but then you have to go and buy a graphics card as well. And at the time, I opted instead to buy a gaming laptop. Now, I sold the gaming laptop a few weeks ago because I wasn't using it. A year of COVID, I was hardly traveling anywhere, but I did use it for gaming. But I'm revisiting the issue now, and I do think an external graphics card chassis, which I've got sitting down there, I do think it kind of fits into my workflow a little bit better. From a YouTubing point of view, it's going to allow me to do a lot of tests. So if you watch my channel, you'll know that I picked up a 3070 a few weeks ago, and this card will fit into this chassis really well. There's a lot of space for it. This is a really small card, and this will be great. I've got a 3070 in a box, but as you know, I also have a 3090 in my other PC. So I could put this into it as well. I could. I'm going to be curious to see. I'm going to be curious to see how performance changes. When you put in these graphics cards and what the bottleneck. I mean, the CPU will be the bottleneck, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of performance I get and what the difference will be when you jump from like a 3070 to a 3080 to a 3090, etc. So from a YouTuber's point of view, I'm really keen on doing videos like this and testing external graphics cards, etc. But from my own workflow point of view, I am interested in using it as well. With this laptop, it's got a few Thunderbolt connections, which means that I could just hook this up to a monitor. I've now got the ability to play games, which I didn't before. I've now got the option to do video editing and things like that, which I didn't do, which I couldn't do before with that. Since last year, and this is another thing that's changed, since last year, I've changed which video editing solution that I'm using. Previously, I was using Premiere Pro, but I'm now using, as you can see here, DaVinci Resolve 17 Studio. And that, well, the Pro version anyway, supports multiple GPU acceleration, which means that I could plug this eGPU with a 3070 or a 3090 into my main PC, and my rendering times will drop. And I can use it like that a lot, but then if I want to do video editing downstairs and spend a few days downstairs working or set up a different setup, I could take the eGPU downstairs and then I could use it for gaming or I could use it for video editing. I like the flexibility that this is going to give me. That's what I really like. But another reason I've bought this is because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of misunderstandings as far as how you actually use an eGPU. This video here, and I did a few other videos at a time, but this video had a lot of great comments from it. A lot of discussions came from that video. And, some of the discussions were really good. Some of them were quite technical. Some of them were quite in-depth. But it's clear from that video that there's a lot of people that have got a complete misunderstanding as to what you can do with an eGPU. So that's one thing I'm hoping to break when I do lots of tests. I've seen a lot of comments from people who think that you can just plug in a dual-core CPU laptop, just a basic laptop, and then they think if they plug in a 3080 via an eGPU that you can all of a sudden play all the best games in the world at the best settings. They don't realize that there's other limitations such as the motherboard, such as the CPU, such as memory, there's a lot of different things that's going to bottleneck before you even utilize all that potential. And then you've got the fact that, Thunderbolt 3 only has so many lanes of bandwidth. It doesn't have the same amount of PCI Express lanes that you would get with just plugging directly into a PC motherboard. So I'd like to go through all that again and explain all that. I still think there's a lot of people that don't understand that. And that's something that I'd show with my tests. I think this laptop is maybe a good example of that because it is a quad core, but it's an ultra low voltage CPU. So my guess is that I will be able to play games that I can't just now. There's some games that just say you don't have a graphics card, like Call of Duty, etc. So it wouldn't let me play. But I suspect the CPU is still going to be the bottleneck in most situations. So I'm finally joining the world of eGPUs, guys. I don't know much about them now as far as performance and that goes, but I'll do an unboxing in a few days and we'll see. This is heavy. We'll see what this is actually like, and I'll put the graphics card in. We can have a look at the chassis. But then in a few weeks, I'll do some different tests and we can actually see, we can see in real life how these are actually used and whether they do actually improve your setup. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you are interested in eGPUs and you want me to cover any particular thing in a future video regarding external graphics cards, please do leave a comment below and I'll try and accommodate you or address the issue in a future video. But until then, thanks for watching and take care.